What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and in today's video, Ryan Pineda is gonna tell you why you're poor.
That's not what I'm gonna tell him. Actually, what I'm gonna tell you is how to be successful and the traits you need to follow.
Definitely. So we actually sat down, we went through all of these things, and we surprisingly agreed on pretty much everything. So we're gonna share with you everything that you need to know to be successful. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it.
So for the first one, I think you gotta have a big vision, man. Most people just are very small-minded in anything they do. Like they have these limiting beliefs of what they're capable of, when in reality, they're capable of so much more. We're all capable of doing so many things, but our mind doesn't allow us to do it. Like, I just think if people realized how big they could go, things would be way different.
100%. I think just tying in with that, the other thing we talked about is picking something that's scalable. A lot of people will put themselves in a box of a job that they think they have to stay at forever, that even if they they just can't have big vision being in that job, and they need to take the jump to go somewhere else. And so I think that's part of it, is getting something that's scalable and that they can see it turning into something bigger.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people to reach that big vision, you do have to take a risk. You know, you got to take a leap to maybe leave that job, to start that new career, that new dream. And it's not easy. It's not easy to change your career mid, something you've been doing your whole life, potentially.
Yeah, 100%. The next one I know that we talked about is being persistent. And I love this one because as a sales rep, I've had to show a ton of persistence. But you talk to any successful person and they have these huge lows, these huge trials, a lot of opposition, and it doesn't matter. They're just persistent to the end. They see that big vision and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah, you actually just gave a sales training to my team right now. And that was actually a thing I wrote down while you were talking, was that you have to be persistent. Because, how many times are you going to be told no during a sale, right? Like that first no, if you just walk away right when someone tells you no, you're not going to be successful. And I am so persistent in anything I'm doing. If I'm trying to go get a collab with a famous YouTuber or something, if they tell me no the first time, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's pleasant. That's just what happened.
I was planning on that.
Yeah, that's normal. Like it's gonna take me a few tries to really build value to get them to come on. So I think persistence is with anything in life. If I'm trying to go recruit a stud employee and try and get them from another job or something like that, I gotta be persistent getting them. Very few times do people just say, yeah, let's go, first try. It's always a persistence thing.
Definitely. And the thing I've noticed as well is I've got sales reps that I'll be on the doors with them and they'll be really persistent, but I'll watch them give up when they are 30 seconds to a minute away from closing a deal. And I think so often people, they feel like they've been persistent, but they're this close, and successful people, they're able to ride it out to the end and do whatever it takes to just make it happen.
Would you say that you just refuse to take no for an answer?
I think that, yeah. I mean, obviously there reaches a point where if someone is down your throat yelling, cussing, saying, get off of my property, I mean, obviously you've got to go to the next door.
Yeah.
But I think not only do you need to be persistent, but when you have those situations, you instantly purge and it's on to the next one, and you're ready to be just as persistent in the next thing, even though you've burned that one out and you've got to go to the next one.
So basically, if you've never been cussed out, you are not persistent.
I mean, that's a fair judge.
So I think persistence is huge. This next one, though, you actually came up with, and I never really thought about, but I think it's great. And that's just showing up. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think, we were talking about the gym and how it's not very hard to work out when you're at the gym, dressed up, you're there.
Yeah.
And so often I see people that they just make the decision to not show up. And if you can just have the courage to show up, to put yourself in the right place at the right time, and you know what it is, but so often they just don't do it.
No, they don't do it. And it just comes back to routine, right? Like showing up, routine, they're kind of the same thing. If you consistently just do something every day, it becomes a habit, and you're going to show up naturally. It's just, I don't know how else to say it, but I do know that the most successful people, they're not like dreading doing things. Like it just becomes habit, Eating healthy becomes a habit. Going to the gym, just showing up becomes a habit. Most people watching this, you show up to work every day at 9, right? Like you don't have a problem doing that, because if you don't, you get fired. And why don't we do that in other parts of our life? Like why don't we show up on other important things to us? So I think it's a great thing, man.
Yeah, it really comes down to making and keeping commitments with yourself. If
Yeah.
you can do that, you will be successful. Now, the next one I want to jump into, and this one I think we both thought of, but this is your jam. And so I'm going to talk really briefly. It's delegation. Now, I've gotten really good at duplicating myself and training sales reps. However, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to real estate, I was decent at hiring people, but when I came out and sat down and saw the operation you have running here, I went home, I hired a ton of new people because I'm like, freak, like he knows how to do this. And so I've got 3 secretaries now. I've really tried to delegate even more. But that's something I learned from you, and you're the best at it, and it is so important.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. You know, people always ask me, they're like, how can you manage all these businesses? You know, I did a video on my 11 income streams, and that was like the #1 comment I got, where they were like, how's that possible? Like, how could you run these businesses at a high level?
Yeah, I can't run one, right? That's what
Yeah,
people are thinking.
right. And you know, you'll see successful people. Most successful people have multiple streams of income, right? They're owning different businesses, they're investing in things. And the only way to do that is through delegating. And the reason that I delegate so much is because I know what I'm not good at and what I hate doing. And so I want to just stay in my like lane of creativity, what I'm best at. And as long as I'm just only doing that, then I know I'm going to be very successful. And if I can have other people do the stuff I don't like, it's going to make me more successful and them more successful. And a lot of people will say, well, Ryan, I can't afford to hire somebody like you. Like, there's no way I could delegate stuff. Wrong. There's so many ways to get people to help you out. You guys can partner up together. You guys can start the business together where, you know, you're delegating those things and doing the things you're good at. Like, there's no excuse why you can't learn this trick of delegation, because that's what helps you scale.
Yeah, I think, so the other day, I had another real estate investor call me up, and he was an older guy. He does nothing but cash deals.
Yeah.
And he has never used leverage, and he called me and he's like, Chandler, you've scaled so quickly, you've acquired so much real estate, but how do you stomach paying interest? I mean, you must be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars in interest. And I think the same principle applies with hiring people or getting interest. You don't care about the expenses going out as long as it's increasing the income coming in. With that, the next one, and this is one that it's kind of a sore spot for me right now, but I have come to find that successful people are extremely competitive. And you started your YouTube channel after me. However, if I don't pick things up in the next week, I think you're going to pass me in subscriber count. So first off, if you're watching this video, you have got to like this video and smash the subscribe button. Don't worry about smashing the like button, just hit that. But smash the subscribe button because I can, no, well, you butter hop over because Ryan's channel is incredible. But I do think you need to hit the one here. And you also need to know that successful people are absurdly competitive, even with their friends.
Yeah, even your friends. If you have a successful person who tells you they're not competitive, they're either not successful or they're a liar. It's one of the two. And dude, even if it's friendly competition, like competition brings out the best in everybody. And so when you're in business, right, you do have your true competitors who you're like, okay, we don't like those guys, you know, and you guys are arch enemies. But then you have your friendly competitors where you're like, man, okay, Chandler's killing it. I better step my game up, man. He's not going to be my friend if I'm just like down in the weeds. So I love competition. Obviously, I used to be a baseball player, and competition's all I know. Like, I just grew up like being competitive.
Yeah, well, I also have come to find that it's important to have a villain. And one of my mentors, Ves Pearson, really pushes this. And he said it doesn't matter if it's your friends or your true enemies, but you've got to have a villain that you can compete with. Someone that, you know, they're the guy to beat. And if you pick them, they need to be someone that they're going to push you, that they're doing all that you're doing and more. And if you can have that villain, I know that sounds a little cynical, but it's a great motivating factor to have a villain.
Yeah, no, I think you got to just have that target. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, man. A lot of people would be like, oh man, like you're going to put this guy or whatever. Like, I mean, I think that's part of it, especially when you're in sports, right? You know who the top dog is and who you're gunning for. Like, it makes you better, and in turn, it makes them better as well. So I think it's a good thing, man. But let's talk about the next one, which is really good, and it's something we're actually doing right now, and I think it's this actually might be the biggest key that I think successful people do. And that is network and build relationships. Like, dude, how important has it been to you?
So important. It's funny because you look at my sales organization, you look at my real estate investing, you look at my YouTube channel, any true spikes in anything that I've done have come from being around or connecting with the right people. Whether that's because, they bring in another skill set or another perspective or whatever it is, that's where you learn, that's where you grow, that's where you're pushed. And also, every time we hang out, I get new ideas.
Yeah.
Not only am I motivated, but bouncing ideas with other like-minded people and other people that are doing more than you are in certain areas, it's just so huge.
Yeah. And I think too, like, success attracts success. Like, I don't think there's any coincidence that we're hanging out today. You literally text me last night and you're like, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas if, you want to hang out. And I'm like, I had things going on, but I'm like, oh, Chandler's coming. Like, let's do it. And let's make the most of it. So, now you guys get a video. But I think networking is so big that people just don't realize. And it kind of goes hand in hand with delegation because, people think, oh, I want to do it all myself. I don't need to hire people. I don't need anyone's help. And that's the total opposite. Like, I need my network to build me up so I can build them up. We can all accomplish more together. And the highest level people I know have influenced me the most. Like, I would not be making YouTube videos or having the business I have. Or, dude, honestly, just to give you guys a quick example, Chandler did a sales training just now. And you guys can find that on my channel. I'm sure he'll link to it below. I do believe that sales training you just did will probably make $1 million for our company. Just over the time of however long these guys use those skills that you just taught them. I truly believe that.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, so I'll give you lunch.
Hey, deal. I'll take it. I already did take it.
Yeah, you did take it. That's right. But that's what happens.
Well, and I think, too, this ties in perfectly into the other point we want to talk to, but it's being optimistic. Just stepping back, though, when it comes to the people you surround yourself with, it's so important to pick the right people because you can network with the wrong people that can drag you down. And what I've come to find is when you're networking with the right people, they're extremely optimistic. They also just want to bring value. They want to do whatever they can to help you progress. And I look at when I called you the first time and we decided we were going to do a collab, and it was incredible because you ran me through a ton of stuff you were doing with your flipping business, a ton of stuff that you've done with your courses to bring value for your course members, all of these things where I'm like, Ryan, you got to slow down. You got to let me pay you. You got to let me do something. This is so valuable to me. And you gave it to me for free. Yeah. And I think it's so cool to not only connect with people, but connect with the right people. And I've come to find that the right people are always so generous, so charitable with what they've learned, what they've acquired, and they're always positive. They're always upbeat.
Yeah, I think you just kind of gave us two new traits that, I wasn't even thinking about. But yeah, optimism, number one. If you're hanging around people who are just always positive and having that mindset, it's going to naturally make you do that. What do they say? Like, misery invites misery. Isn't that the saying?
Misery loves company.
Yeah, misery loves company. Same thing.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah. So misery loves company is so true because miserable people are always together just hanging out. And typically, they're not successful, they're hating life, or maybe they're even successful in the work world or whatever, but they're just not successful in life. And so I think hanging around positive people is huge, but the one that you just touched on as well would be charitable and generous people. I have found that to be true, that when you get around these very successful people, they just kind of want to give back. Like, they just want to give as much information as possible because they just know the value of being around somebody else. Like, when I gave you all of that advice, like you said, when we first talked, I didn't know what it was going to lead to. I just really wanted to help you out because I know, you're a super good dude and, you're super successful. And then boom, look, 2 months later, look what you just did. Like, so I think we're even now.
We'll see, man. I still feel at a deficit, but I think it's so important just being around, having those experiences in my life where I've been around those people that are negative influences.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because they truly believe that to be successful, you have to be someone that just takes.
Yeah.
And I think thinking that way can be very detrimental to you, where when you can flip and say, no, successful people are the people that are finding a way to bring value, and they know it's always going to come back. And that's true with every one of these successful YouTubers, real estate investors, anything else. They consistently find a way to give value, and they're not thinking about when it will come back, but it always does, and usually it does financially.
Absolutely. So that brings us to one that if you're watching this all the way through till now, you might have this trait, and I think it's so important, and that's patience.
I thought you were going to say that's smashing the like button, subscribing to your channel, my channel.
You know, I'm not very good at that. Like I always go through my pitch, and then
if you were Graham, the last one would have been smashing the like button.
Oh no, if I was Graham, I'd already said it like 5 times. But
we love you though, Graham.
No, I think patience is like this big key. You know, kind of goes with persistence and perseverance. You know, they're kind of all in the same boat, but patience to me is so important because, as you alluded to earlier, you could be one breakthrough away, 30 seconds away from closing that big deal. You could have worked, months. Maybe you're starting a YouTube channel and you're not getting traction, and you could have been just that one video away that was going to go viral and put you to the top. I've seen it happen over and over again with people that they just quit far too early because, I mean, the reality is in today's society, we all want the easy way out. Like we want the shortcut. We want somebody to do it for us, but good things take patience, man.
They really do. I feel bad by the picture we paint on our YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Because, you talk about the deal that makes you $500,000 or $1 million. I do the same thing, and people see that and they say, I just need to do that. I can go do this $1 million deal. What they don't understand is there are years and years and hours that build up to a skill set to have stuff like that happen. And it's not to say they can't do it quicker, but it is to say, I wish everybody could see us when we didn't have money, when we were living in a cheap apartment, when we, had a car that had issues and all of the other things. That is a time where you still have to grind and put in the time and be persistent and be patient for the payoff. And I know both of us have had times where we've been very frugal, where we've had to wait for the results, and now they're here. But even 5 years into investing in real estate, I felt like, man, it's moving so slow. I'm not really seeing what I want to see, and then it really picks up. So.
And the one thing I'll add too is a lot of growth is exponential, right? And so it's like, man, if I wish it were like this, right? Everybody just grows at this even pace every year, but the reality is it looks like this. You eat crap for all these years, you suck. Oh man, I'm starting to see some stuff, and then dude, it just explodes. And that's kind of where I think, you and I have both got to, but as you said, I mean, we're both 30, 31 years old. Like, I was not wealthy in my 20s. Like, I started to have success late 20s and make money, but it takes time. I actually did a TikTok literally about this, the clickbait, not as clickbaity as this one, but the clickbait.
Take it back.
Yeah. The clickbait was the secret, like gurus won't tell you or something. And I pretty much went through we make everything look really easy, myself included, but what you don't see on camera is the thousands of phone calls, the thousands of no's. That's what it takes to get all the success. And most people just aren't willing to have the patience to get there.
Yeah, and I really do see so many people that are so close, and then they'll try something new. They'll do something different. They'll give up on what they're doing. And I wish people would recognize it is so exponential. And if you do all of this and you're just about to pop and then you go and start over on something else or, abandon ship completely, you're going to spend a lot of your life just like this. Yeah. And so if you can figure it out, buckle down and just hold until you get that exponential growth, it's insane. Every year I'm just blown away by how much more exponential it is.
Yeah, it's great. Well, you accumulate assets, right? There's compound interest. That's just what happens over time. You finally hit that mark where it starts going crazy.
Yep. So I think we're at the end. This was the list, and honestly, guys, it was really fun sitting down with Ryan and just saying, what has made you successful? And what do we think people need to hear so that if they do all of these things, they can have the success that they want. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure that you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and most importantly, you've got to go over and smash the subscribe button. And Ryan, I don't want you doing me any favors, even though I'd appreciate the subscribe, because what you've done growing your YouTube channel is incredible, and it's because of the content he delivers. It really is awesome. I love watching your videos, and so make sure you hop over. I'll put a link down in the description. And again, if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Anything else you've got to add?
I think smash that like button. That's what I just keep
got it
hearing
out of
over
ya.
and over now. But yeah, I would also add, make sure you just comment below which ones you're doing currently and which ones you need to work on, because really reflecting on what you're actually doing is going to help you out.
And let us know if we missed any.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.